Folks really went above and beyond to start looking at ways to come together 10 plus years ago. Communities can have community leaders. You can have folks that are leadership at the city, folks that are leadership at the county. You can have philanthropic leaders. You can have folks just making change in the community. But all of that happens in silos where folks are really working on community change within their own organizations. So we had a group of leaders come together and say, what can we do together to address complex community needs, but also just to understand complex community needs? When we're looking out for our own organizations, quite often we are making decisions that are going to further our organization, which does help the community, but we're not making those in sync with other community organizations that can all look at ways to say, I can address this challenge this way, or I can address this challenge that way. So our community leaders went and they shadowed a community in Columbus, Indiana, who had a very, very successful community success panel structure, which is the idea of community leaders coming together regularly to address these challenges. That group met regularly for years until they decided that they wanted to go a more academic route with this and really look at scorecarding the progress. So that's when folks became involved with the Communities of Excellence process. Communities of Excellence is a way to look at your community and really reevaluate how you are looking at metrics and how you can make a difference in the community. So we have outlined challenges and advantages here in our community, and our community leaders were really looking at ways to address those specific challenges that were outlined, but something was missing. And that something piece is when you're making decisions for a community, folks need to be involved. And something that really stuck with me as I was brought into this work as a communicator at the Midland Area Community Foundation was I was told by Bob Pliszka, who's a communicator at Dow. Bob had been a part of this work for years, and Bob said to me, Kevin, when we're working on this work, this table has to be large enough for 80,000 plus. It can't feel inauthentic, and it can't feel unapproachable. We're inviting folks into this work to say, you are a part of this community. Where do you see yourself in it? And I think you just told a very powerful story about your business and you personally, but that is where you see yourself in this work. And I have long seen myself in this work as well. But putting your arms around 80,000 plus, it's no small task. So bringing people in a different way, we knew that it had to happen, but we didn't know exactly what the mechanism would be. We have this amazing vision statement for our community, which I think is the story of Midland, in my opinion. That vision statement is Midland, an inclusive community, together, forward, bold, an exceptional place where everyone thrives. You may have heard that in the community. You may have heard it when the mayor speaks. Mayor Maureen Donker likes to throw that out there. It's a very important vision statement for our community, and I try and bake it into my communications as well. But that is the story. We have so many amazing people coming together looking at accomplishing the vision of being an inclusive community where everyone thrives. That is a vision for a community, and folks don't always come together in that type of concerted effort, and that really resonated with me when I was looked at to say, can you bring 80,000 plus into this work? I knew that we couldn't name the initiative Communities of Excellence Midland.
Right.
I knew that would be unapproachable. I knew that we couldn't lead with, hey, here's all our problems, come help us solve it. But what we could do is leading with finding ways for folks to connect with one another, which is the fabric of a community. So we went events first. For a long time, folks had been approaching me and saying, Kevin, we need a community calendar. I knew that wasn't the Community Foundation's job.
Sure.
But once we became involved in this nice collective initiative with all of these different organizations at the table, I said, we can't not lead with this. If the only thing someone does because of Max Loves Midland is share space with one other community member, that is a success for Max Loves Midland. Because that draws people closer to their community. And we know folks are happier and healthier when they care about where they live. So we're really excited to launch with the calendar and refresh my memory. It's been launched for over 2 years. Is it over 1,500 individual events have been posted now?
Yeah, back in February, it was over 1,500 events. So it's got to be, and people, are definitely using it more now than they were a year ago. So it's probably over 2,000 now, I would guess.
And the work that's been done on that community calendar has been awesome. And for folks that haven't been involved with utilizing the community calendar, you can break that down into locations within our county. You can break that down into specific focus areas. You can break that down into type of events. And that is a lot due to the work that you do as the web admin for Max Loves Midland. And we just have an incredible tool now that's being utilized across the community. And that's really the goal of this work. So we're looking forward to continue looking at that vision statement, and then also our 4 focus areas of developing our talent, which really focuses on education, building our community, which focuses on business development, caring for our people, which we're looking at health and human services, and enriching our community when we're talking about arts and culture. So those are the 4 real focus areas underneath that vision statement, And we believe that by focusing on these broad areas of the community, we can truly make a difference by moving the needle in these spaces. And as long as the heart of our work is always aligned with that vision statement, we can't go wrong. And those events were so successful that we knew that we had to expand upon it a little bit more. And the next thing was showing folks who their community is. And the only way to do that is connecting, storytelling, featuring. We want folks to see themselves in the work. So they won't see themselves in the work unless we pull folks to be a part of the show. So we're very excited to storytell about folks in Midland, interesting people doing things, business owners, folks involved with these focus areas, folks involved with Max, folks that have been here forever, folks that just moved here, whatever it is. This is truly about people development and retention, and we're doing that through connection. And Max is a very interesting piece on its own, and I think that a common question we get asked all the time is, well, who is Max?
Yeah.
Like, what is Max? Who is Max? What is this concept of Max? And sometimes it's you behind a keyboard, sometimes me behind a keyboard, but truly, Max is meant to go a little bit deeper than that. So if you'd like to talk a little bit about the way that we came up with this character, this idea.
Yeah, I do want to say too, I remember when you approached me about helping with this, saying building a table big enough for 80,000 people, that's what got me like immediately excited about it, because it can't just be CEOs in a room. It's got to be everybody.
Absolutely. And that also means if we want the table to be big enough for 80,000 people, that the show is going to go for like 1,300 years, because we have to have
everybody.
The show's not over until everybody is on the show.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we first met, I think it was fall of 22, I want to say. So it was me and you and Daisha Parker, Renee Decro, Daniel Terhune, and Kathy Snyder. So that was kind of our brain trust of getting things started. I remember having a lot of discussions about, well, what are we going to call this? We want people to be able to connect with it. Like you said, it can't be communities of excellence, because that's so like academic and highbrow sounding.
Incredible program, but it's not going to resonate with the general public when we're talking about inviting them into this work. You have to invite them into this work in a really authentic and approachable way.
Right.
It can't be leading with academia. It's leading with the true core of this work, which is connection.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I remember we had a meeting scheduled, and we were all supposed to come back with ideas. And I remember I was falling asleep the night before, and I was thinking, I had all these things like, We Love Midland, or I can't even remember what the other ones were. They all felt really generic still, but as I was falling asleep, I get a lot of my best ideas like right between asleep and awake.
Absolutely.
And I thought, oh, I know we need something that's first person. Like we need like an avatar or a character. So when I'm or you are replying to somebody online, we can use first person language, because it's really hard to connect with somebody if you're saying we all the time. And most of the initiatives that I help run social media for, I reply with we, and that's fine for those. But I felt like, because connection is the number one priority for Max Loves Midland, we needed something that was approachable, and that someone felt like it was talking person to person rather than some other faceless organization. Not that that's bad in certain lights, but you know what I mean. So I remember pitching, I think I pitched Molly Loves Midland first, and someone reminded me that Molly is sometimes something else.
We're not at a rave.
Exactly. So we had a quick brainstorm about other M names, because I just think alliteration is fun and people remember things easier if alliteration is involved. So we settled on Max because it can be a man's name or a woman's name. It's not specific to any like generation or age group.
And you were watching a lot of Stranger Things at the time?
I was watching Stranger Things at the time. Yes, that is true.
So Max was fresh in your brain?
It was, yes. Absolutely.
I think the idea of Max is so awesome. And honestly, I never would have thought to have led with a mascot. It's just not an approach that I would have liked to have taken until Daniel, within one of those meetings, said, listen, here's the deal. If we want this to be approachable, we want this to be cool and resonate, let's take a different approach and let's have some fun with it. We can do it our way.
Yeah.
And the thing that stuck with me, and I've said this countless times in so many different presentations because it was so funny to me, and it was my convincing argument, was he said, when I take my kids to Chuck E. Cheese, I don't take them to the baby casino. We don't call it baby casino. That'd be
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
We take them to Chuck E. Cheese.
But it is a baby casino.
But it is a baby casino.
Right.
So let's lead with a mascot. Let's
Right.
lead with something faceless. Let's lead with something that anyone can see themselves in. We don't want it to be that it's faceless necessarily, but we want everyone to feel like they can be Max.
Right.
It doesn't matter gender. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't matter any other orientation within your life. We are all bound upon this idea that we love Midland, and we are looking for you to see your work within Max. How do you fit into this category? How do you fit into these puzzles with us? And I just thought that was incredible. And since that, I said, that's awesome. Max can be a personality. Max can live in Ask Midland and answer some questions. Max can talk first person over social media. Max can have a cool avatar like these awesome sunglasses that you painted and put behind us. It's just an incredible brand, and we've had a lot of fun with it already. And I think that this storytelling initiative is just going to take Max to the next level, and folks are going to attend more events. They're going to know their community members better. They're going to get more involved, and they're going to understand where they fit into the puzzle of addressing our challenges and then also reinforcing our advantages here within the community. So we're super excited to work on this and really take this to the next level.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we've done a little bit of written storytelling, and it was very clear that people were interested in those and connecting with them. So it was nice to have that kind of intermediary step to say, hey, we really do need to get the show going and have more face-to-face with more people and continue to tell all those stories, because everybody here has a story.
Absolutely. Everyone has a story. And I think there are organizations doing some great work out there in our community that really are focusing on people development and people retention here. But there's not really one high-level organization that is putting an umbrella over all of this work and saying, we have to do this and we have to do this now, because if we don't, we're missing out. And I felt an almost calling to this work and almost a duty to bring skills to this space to continue to tell storytelling about our fellow community members. That's what makes this work so awesome, is when you look at talent development and retention, or people development and retention, however you'd like to say it, folks a lot of times are looking at the attraction piece of it. But if we are not telling the stories of the folks that are already here, how are we going to attract folks if they can't see themselves here? Or if folks are not saying, I love Midland because blank, whatever Midland is to you. If we don't have folks being honest about why they're here, we're never going to get other people to want to come, and we're never going to get people that want to come and engage in that work. So this is just as much, if not more, about retaining those that we have and attracting due to that retention.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is the perfect way to put it. And I think that's a great explanation as to why we believe in this approach.
We hope you enjoyed that clip from the Max Loves Midland Show. If you want to watch the full episode, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to hear that episode, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts.